Mic check 1, 1, 2, 3.
Mic check 1, 1, 2, 3. How far behind?
15 seconds stop.
Mic check 1, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning. It's 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. We are getting ready for our second draw and our second feature game here at the 2026 USA Curling Nationals here in Schenectady, New York. I'm Brad Johnson, joined by...
I'm Matt Green.
And we're going to be on the call today with a game between Penn State University and I think Denver, University of Denver Pioneers. So this will be our second straight Battle of Pennsylvania versus Colorado game, as we had a thriller on the first draw, Colorado State defeating in an extra end the Quakers of UPenn. So we'll be on the call. You can see the end of practice right now for Penn State. They're about to do their draws to the button, and then there will be a practice for the Denver Pioneers. So Matt and I will be back in just a little bit, probably about 13 minutes from now. We'll be back on the call, and we'll get you ready for the second draw, first draw of this pool. This is Pool A, pool play games. So we'll be back soon. Good afternoon. I'm Brad Johnson on the mic, joined by...
I'm Matt Green.
and we're here to cover the second draw of the 2026 College Nationals here in Schenectady, New York.
We have Penn State University, the Nittany Lions, facing off against the University of Denver, the Pioneers.
That's right. So we have just finished up the second practice of the day. I believe the Denver just finished with their draws. I believe Penn State had better draws, so they should get hammer in this first end. So we'll keep an eye out for that, make sure that that ends up being the case. But today we will have Penn State with Red Rocks, and we will have the University of Denver Pioneers with the Yellow Rocks. And before we do any introductions here, just kind of want to talk through the history of these two programs here. Denver Pioneers program started in 2009. They have 17 current members. So we have 4 people here that are playing. We have Sylvia Barnes skipping. We have Vice, Auntie Javia. We have second Tegan Weindell and lead Thomas Barr, who will be playing for Denver. And on the Penn State Nittany Lions side, we have Skip, who will actually be throwing lead rocks, Robert Chappell. We will have second Istvan Preda, Vice Cameron Pauley, and throwing fourth rocks is Eric Welp for Penn State. So Matt, I know you actually are an alumnus of Penn State. Did you ever have any interest in curling when you were at Penn State? Any interest there?
Yeah, Brad. So I graduated from Penn State in 2018, and that's actually the year that they founded the curling club at Penn State. So I did not have an opportunity to curl in my time there. But,
so they did it in spite of you.
Yes. Yeah, they created it because I was there. But there is a large curling community that they've developed in the time since, and they're growing a little curling community out there.
Perfect. Well, that's it's good to hear that they're doing that. I know now that Penn State is up to 20 members, actually, it looks like, in their club, so they're growing really nicely. I know they've been a big name recently. I think the hope is that they're trying to get dedicated ice at some point, but I think they still play on arena ice. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, they play in the Pagula Ice Center.
Okay.
I believe on the practice side of the hockey arena there.
Makes sense. All right, well, promise, just because you're a Penn State alum, you'll call a fair game, right?
I will try to be as impartial as possible.
All right, good. That's what I like to hear. And sorry, we're just getting confirmation now from the officials on who has hammers for each sheet, so we're getting close to being underway. Oh, look there on sheet 3. You see that step-on slider there? Right here, and right next to the Red Rocks. Yeah, the step-on slider there, right by the Red Rocks on sheet 3.
Don't see
I
that.
was gonna say, maybe your angle. You the water cooler's in your way, so you can't see.
You don't see step-on sliders used too
I was
often.
gonna say you don't necessarily, but it just kind of speaks to the fact that, like, a lot of these people, a lot of these young college stars are new in the process of curling. How often do you actually have exposure to curling in hometowns? I mean, it is a growing sport, and I know a lot of people probably in the audience were big in the Olympics, big into watching the Olympics. Corey Dropkin, obviously winning the silver medal in the mixed doubles for the United States, probably boosted some curling interest. But there's not a ton of clubs around the country, so a good opportunity for a lot of these people is when they get to college, they actually have the opportunity to curl for the first time in their lives. So you will see a lot of people that are newer to the game here, but these talented young individuals, they pick up the game so quickly, and curling is definitely a strategic game for sure. They're smart enough to not only be good shot makers, but also call a good game and have a great strategy. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. As I mentioned earlier, this is the second straight feature game featuring a Pennsylvania team and a Colorado team. So hello to everyone watching in both locations, particularly if you're in Colorado. It's now, I guess, 10 a.m., a little past 10 a.m. your time, so you should be up. There were people watching Colorado State that were up at 6:30 their time. Keep in mind that daylight savings was only 5 days ago, so they were up basically at 5:30 their time.
Very early.
How are you with waking up early, Matt?
Very
You
early.
big morning guy?
It's been a rough adjustment to daylight savings for me, but we're here and we're underway.
And we're watching curling.
Yeah.
Nothing better. So
Nothing better.
Does seem like we were right. Looks like Denver is going to be leading us off. So hammer advantage will be for Penn State on this first end. We will be playing 8-end games for those that are watching. And if you are watching, I see right now there are 18 participants, myself being one of them, obviously, so I can read the chat. But if you're, oh, and my partner Matt, you're one too.
I'm also
great.
on
We're
as
boosting
well.
our numbers here. But if you're in the chat here, feel free to drop a message to us. Matt and I will be checking relatively frequently. We love back and forth, not only with each other, but also with anyone that may be in the chat. So if you're here, and you want to just let us know where you're listening from, who you're rooting for. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions during the game, we know we have all sorts of experience levels. Matt and I are going to try our best to explain the rules to those who, we're kind of appeasing to all the different denominations of people, whether you're a newbie in terms of curling strategy and how curling works, or if you're a seasoned veteran, we should be able to have commentary that appeals to you. That's the hope. So feel free to drop a message in the chat, and we'll be sure to get to you. All right, and with that, let's take a look at the action that's gone so far. So lead stones, as mentioned before, lead stones for Penn State, the team that has hammer, the team with red rocks. Lead stones are being thrown by their skip, actually, Robert Chappell, which I've done that before. Have you ever skipped and thrown lead stones, Matt?
I've never thrown lead stones from skip.
You tend to be on the opposite side of that,
yeah,
right?
I've played Vice and thrown last rocks.
Yep.
But I've never been in a situation where the skip was throwing lead stones.
And again, that's, there's different strengths people have. Sometimes if you're really good at throwing the guards, lead rocks typically is, throwing good guards and generally easy takeouts. Sometimes if you're just a real good tactician, you read lines well, you see things as a skip, you want to be the one in the house calling the game, but you just throw the lead rocks. There's definitely no problem with that. I know I've experimented with that myself as skip. I have thrown lead rocks and skip games, so it's definitely something that you don't always see, but it's good to see.
Yeah, there's definitely an advantage to the person spending the most time in the house watching the last rocks.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Ice.
That's a great point for sure. So we just saw lead rocks from Robert Chappell from Penn State, and then on the Denver Pioneer side, we also saw the initial rocks from Thomas Barr, who was throwing those, and now we're on to second rocks. So Tegan Weindel from Denver, and we will also see now Istvan Preda is getting in the hack. Looks like he's a lefty, so we had a lefty in the last game. It's good to see our lefty representation here. As a skip, Matt, do you notice any difference really line calling between a lefty or righty, or is it generally negligible for you?
I think it's generally negligible. Obviously, there is a little difference in the line. However, I don't see there being a huge difference.
Okay.
Obviously, lefties can see a little bit more of rocks on the left side of the sheet than a righty, and vice versa.
Yep. But yeah, generally speaking, once the stone's out there, you're calling line based on how that stone's been released. And so, see, we got a comment in the chat here. Penn State shifting the curling paradigm. We sure hope so. It's definitely great to see that we got 20 members at Penn State, and it seems like that program is definitely booming. A lot of familiar faces that I see on these bright college kids here. So really, really awesome that they've developed a good program there over at Penn State. But anyways, it's in terms of the action right now. So what have we seen so far in this end, Matt?
I feel like we've seen a very heavy takeout game. The first, I believe, the first
four rocks
right?
of
the end were takeouts. Obviously, the first rock from Colorado being in the house, and then Penn State taking them out subsequently.
And what are the advantages in general of like playing a takeout game, especially this early on in the game? Are there any advantages to that? Anything you would you like seeing, not seeing?
Yeah, early on it kind of helps you adjust to the ice. You're not throwing too many draws. You're keeping the scoring on the lower end.
We're seeing more chat, more feedback. So apparently there are 100 members in the in-house league. Last check. Thank you for that update. That's good to know. So only 20 were willing to travel. Oh, that's too bad. But that's awesome. That's a huge turnout, honestly, for a program to have that much. But back to what you were saying, Matt. Sorry, takeouts early on in the game.
Yeah, it just keeps the scoring lower. Kind of allows for you to have some time to adjust to the ice.
Absolutely. So we're on firmly into the Vice Rocks now, and we've been playing, again, more of a takeout game. There's no rocks in the house, just one red corner guard over there. That's really the only source of, I guess, crafting offense that you see in this end. So this is looking to be a low-scoring first end, kind of feel it out. Got another lefty here, and that's Cameron Pauly, the Vice for the Nittany Lions, is definitely left-handed, so looks like Penn State's got their second and Vice, both lefties. Interesting.
It's looking like we're just trying to come around that guard.
Absolutely. And when you have the hammer, typically, coming around that corner guard is the play. You want to play more to the wings, kind of keep the house open. Even this stone here that's ending up back 12, that's a counter. I mean, it's not necessarily a good counter necessarily, but when you have the hammer in a wide open house,
keep that middle open.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that might, who knows, at the end of this end, that may come back to be a point. So the fact that that's stuck in the house is actually a big difference between that and being a foot deeper. So now we got Vice Rocks here from Denver. This is Auntie Javia throwing rocks. So we should see a bump here, and that looks exactly what was done. Bump and a little bit of a roll. So that's a really well executed shot there. Yeah. So now. If you're the non-hammer team and you got that backbiter there, are you counting on that rock ever actually mattering in this end?
I would not.
Yeah.
I would think Penn State's gonna try to bury one behind that corner guard again.
So it's not worth hitting, is what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's
At this point in the game, hitting rocks behind the T line might not benefit you.
Absolutely. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. If you want to craft some offense here, play to that
However,
wing.
it looks like we might be getting a hit here.
Yeah, it looks like it was deep, and maybe they're trying to plan B it. I don't think that was the plan
B.
Just misses.
Yeah,
the advantage of getting that Yellowstone as opposed to doing nothing is that it does at least set you up better for a blank end, I suppose. If you wanted to blank the first end, never a bad thing. Again, maybe at our club level, we're not blanking a ton of ends, but these talented individuals, I'm sure blanks are more frequent than maybe we see at our club level, for sure. So now we're starting on the skip rocks. So the final stones for each team, and as mentioned before, so I say skip rocks, but that's just the general term for the last two stones at the end. Eric Welp will be throwing them for the Nittany Lions, not necessarily skipping, but will be throwing those rocks. So when I say skip rocks, I just mean the last two rocks, the business end of the end, as it is.
So Brad, what's truly meant by hammer? When you have the hammer, you mentioned hammer advantage. What does that mean?
So hammer, for those in the audience that aren't familiar, it means you have the last stone of the end. So in this case, the Nittany Lions of Penn State are red rocks, and they have the final rock to throw. Each team throws 8 rocks. Each individual on the team throws 2 of them. So the teams of 4 makes sense. Having hammer means you have the last stone of the end. You throw your 8th rock after the other team throws their 8th rock. And that's an advantage because obviously you count the score up after the end ends. So you have the final say before the score actually matters. So typically your goal when you have the hammer is to score and score multiple points, really. And your goal, if you don't have the hammer, that can change based on a couple different factors. And we can get into those as we're going through the game, as we see these ends shaping out. So this end, for sure, if you're the non-hammer team, I would think that you're not really in a great position to steal. There's not a lot of guards in play here. You do have that one back biter here, and now there's a red stone that's right there on the 4-foot. It looks like this is what they're doing with Sylvia Barnes. This is the shot that they're trying right now. Is just take that red stone out of play, and ideally, if you stick around, you're sitting 1-2, and that's basically you're forcing Denver to just take their one point. Right?
You force the hammer team to just accept only getting 1 point.
And if they miss, then great, you got 2, but you weren't necessarily expecting that.
Yep.
So right now you see the sweepers on it. Well, now you'll see the sweepers on it as it comes.
Looks like they're pushing it.
So why would you push? Like, what's the directionality of the sweeping mean?
Yeah, so on the left side, they were pushing the rock to kind of curl to the right.
Yep.
So the term push is meant to make the rock curl more. Whereas if the other sweeper was sweeping, they would be holding the line or making the rock run straighter. Again, from Penn State, you're seeing a push here to try to make sure they're going to hit that rock. And it looks like
it just flashed.
Hit.
Yep. All right, so that is a steal of 1. So what were they trying to do there? Why were they trying to hit that stone way in the back?
I think they were just looking for the blank here, as you kind of alluded to earlier. I think Penn State was thinking, hey, instead of being forced to 1, let's go ahead and blank this end, take no points, and keep the hammer. And
keep the hammer.
Maybe in the second end, attempt to try to get 2 points. So, unfortunately, that did not work out for Penn State.
Did not work out, but they do still get to keep the hammer. So it's effectively the same thing as a blank, except now instead of tied, you're down 1. So obviously you don't want to give up that point. Point of the game. It's going to shock people in the audience is to score more points than the other team. I know that's going to sound stunning.
Is that how curling works?
That's how curling works. So, ideally that would have been blanked instead, but no real harm. That would have been much more damaging if that had been thrown perhaps with 2 or 3 rocks in play. But no issues there, so we are now at a pause in the end of the first end. Let's take a look at some of the other sheets around, see what the scores are there. Over on sheet 1, it looks like we got a crowded house with Red Rocks of University of Wisconsin-Madison against MIT, and it looks
like 5 red right now.
It really does look like 5 red, this is the defending national champion team, so maybe perhaps unsurprising to see them in such a strong position to start here. It looks like they're sitting 5 and they have the hammer. Is that correct? Is this the hammer stone?
That is correct. This is the
hammer.
This is
a shot for
stone.
6. Wow, that is a big first end for the defending national champions out of Wisconsin. And we'll wait to the result of this and just do a quick check-in. Meanwhile, over on our feature sheet, they just started. First stone ended up just going right in the house on the tee line. We'll get right back to that in just a second. So this stone ends up just promoting that stone.
5.
So it's just 5, but still a big end to start for the University of Wisconsin. Over on sheet 2, they just cleaned up there, so we'll check in afterwards. And sheet 4, they are just wrapping this up here with this is Michigan Tech. I believe this is the hammer for Michigan Tech up against the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point, who are making their debut at the national stage. I believe they're also a new club, if I'm not mistaken. But I do have a couple good friends who curl at Stevens Point, so hello to any of them. If any of them are watching, I bet they're probably watching the stream for sheet 4. But nonetheless, it's always good to talk to guys like Josh and Trevor who curl there. And what an excellent shot. And you hear the warm room now celebrating, if you can hear in the background. That's a great double for 2 for Michigan Tech.
That was a fantastic double.
Absolutely. We'll check in with those afterwards, but that's 2-0 Michigan Tech at the end of 1. Back to our feature game here.
So it looks like Penn State flashed their first hit attempt on this 1 rock of yellow. And then
the second stone.
The second stone for the University of Denver was a bit too heavy and was swept through the back of the house. And it looks like that is another flashed hit for Penn State.
And that's interesting. Matt, you and I curl here at Schenectady. Why don't you tell the audience, have you seen anything unique about that line, pole side? Is there anything that you've seen as a skip?
Oftentimes it runs a little straighter on that side. I know they brought in a new ice crew for the event, so unsure if that's still the case, but yeah, we've seen that side run a little straighter.
Yep. So yeah, the pole side, Schenectady is a little unique. It's in between the sheets 2 and 3. So our Schenectady club, founded back, I guess technically where we are right now. The club was founded in the early 1900s, but where we are now was actually from the 50s. But yeah, when this was built, we do have the poles in the center there, and yeah, I've noticed definitely with upweight hits, as Matt was just mentioning, that upweight hits sometimes will sail a bit wide on the pole side. But to Matt's point, we have USA Curling came in, worked with our ice crew here. This ice is probably vastly different than what we play on our club nights here at Schenectady. And we have 27 people listening now in the audience. I imagine they're all Penn State fans, right? Hopefully, if there's any Denver fans, we can get them hopping in, seeing if we can get any comments from University of Denver people that might be watching. But again, if anyone in the chat or anyone watching this wants to chat with us, Matt and I are happy to take any comments, questions, concerns, grievances, anything like that.
So it looks like the University of Denver there just tapped their shot rock back just a bit. They're sitting right in front of it.
Yep.
It looks like Penn State is attempting to take that shot rock out.
Going to try to get the double out of this. No?
No.
Okay. It's going to be a little wide, so it's only going to get the one stone out, but still not a bad result. So again, you're noticing that early on in this game, a lot of takeouts, as you were pointing out in the first end, kind of a open end. Definitely, especially on the Penn State side, throwing more of those takeouts, trying to keep it more open with hammer.
Keep that scoring down.
Here we go. We got some comments now. Go Denver in the chat. Lovely, wonderful to hear some people out in the Mountain West time zone
What a pistol
listening
on
in on
sheet
us.
4. That was an awesome double. This spiel so far is had a lot of great games so far, and we're hoping
Absolutely, we're only
to carry that throughout the day,
classics.
throughout the event. So
absolutely, first draw was just fantastic. So I hope this draw is up to the task because it's a high bar. Meanwhile, great shot there from Denver. So having these kind of aligned, I mean, it is still exposed, but having this top 12 rock and this one on the side of the button, it's starting to craft the end more towards that non-hammer team style of play. You want to keep play more towards the middle, keep it tight.
just gonna get
in
that
an ideal
top,
world.
just gonna get that top rock and roll out.
Yep. And that's okay, especially if that sticks around. That's a really nice shot.
That hangs around. So
what would you do here as a skip, Matt? If you're the Denver skip, what do you like doing here? Do you like chasing that red rock and making sure that they never get a big end, or do you like trying to craft more offense?
I like trying to craft some more offense. I think the skip Sylvia is doing something similar to what I would do, throwing some rocks up top of that house, trying to get as many rocks in front of that shot rock as I can.
Absolutely.
Try to protect that shot rock. This is going to be a little heavy and tap that shot rock back, but they're sitting 2.
They're sitting 2. It does
in the 4 foot.
It does leave a double if they hit it right for Penn State.
Does leave a double,
which is what the call is from here from skip Robert Chappell. So if they make this takeout and they sit 2, it'll be in a really good position for splitting. Like, it'll be a really good position to take their 2. Never going to craft much more than that. It's probably, if I were to guess, it's going to lead to just hits until the team misses the rest of the end. But this looks pretty good.
That looks pretty promising.
And it just only rubs that back yellow. Still a good result, though.
Didn't quite get back to nose how they were hoping to, but
not quite. But still a good result. They're sitting shot, and as you can see, if they hit this out of play, there's a very high likelihood of jamming on that back yellow.
There is a high potential of jam here,
so
Brad.
You gotta hit this red just right if you are the Pioneers of Denver. So definitely not a bad. Even though you didn't get the double, that's not a bad shot at all from
this hit
from
looks
the Nittany
a
Lions.
tad bit wide. And again, they are pushing this rock to try to get it back to that red rock.
Ooh, yeah, it just sailed wide again.
Just a bit outside.
We've seen a few of those on that line just continue to sail out wide. Now again, it could be delivery, it could be the ice. A bunch of different factors obviously are at play there. But now if you're Denver, a couple different options you have. It looks like Robert right now wants to try to split the house more. He wants to kind of draw a stone over to that open wing on the left side of your screen if you're looking down towards the house on the video cameras here. And he's tightening up the ice. He's now going more towards the center line. It looks like that's at the advice, perhaps, of his vice, Cameron Pauly. I have had pleasure of playing with Cameron a few times, and I know he definitely is very vocal about shot calls.
Looks like their plan being this. It looks like they're playing the run back here.
And maybe they did adjust that call. So originally it looked like they wanted to draw. They do end up running it. They make the run. It does spill. It spills one of the reds, but they are sitting 2 wide open house and definitely split. There's no doubles there. I was going to say, do you think John Schuster or Corey Dropkin can make a double on those 2 stones?
I think at the high level the double might still be there.
But even then,
that is a far double.
Yeah.
That's about an 11-foot double. Cross house double.
That's a big one for sure.
It's pretty flat too. And by flat, the rocks are almost dead even with each other.
Depth-wise, yep, exactly. So looks like they're just going to hit their safe one here. So right now, really, what you're looking for if you are Denver is you want to just trying to trade hits. Hopefully, Denver spills, or excuse me, Penn State spills out of the house. But unfortunately here, first skip stone from Sylvia Barnes sails wide on that same line that's been sailing wide. And now Penn State is really in the driver's seat here to get more than 2 points, multiple point end here. And now they are going to try that draw to the wing to really make it like 3 rocks completely spaced out so there are no easy doubles with only 1 rock to play for Sylvia.
Yeah, it looks like Penn State's just trying to really spread that house out.
Absolutely. And right now,
this rock does not look like it has much handle on it.
Yeah, Robert's saying no. You're right. Good observation. So what does that mean when you say not much handle, Matt?
So typically, the more handle you give it, the straighter it will run. But if a rock doesn't have a lot of handle, it's essentially like throwing a knuckleball in baseball. The rock can kind of just pick and choose where it wants to end up. Oftentimes, you'll see it will either run dead straight or it will take off in a wacky manner.
So why? I guess that makes sense. So you just don't want it to be in a wacky way. So it's always advised that you put a handle on it.
Yeah. So the handle helps the rock run in a more predictable manner.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So on that last one, it seems to have maybe had weak handle and also looked heavy, and it did end up going through the house. So Sylvia has another chance here to minimize damage. Again, this is not a stealing end. An end where you would steal points without the hammer, you'd probably see a lot of guards. There are no guards in play to be seen. So this is really a let's get stones out of play, let's keep it low scoring, let's keep it defensive. And perhaps it's counterintuitive, but I tell people this all the time. Hits, when you're calling hits, you're typically calling a little bit more of a safe defensive game, assuming you can make those hits. It obviously gets dangerous if you miss a lot of hits, but hits seem to be a safer game, whereas draws and guards, more of an aggressive style of game. What do you prefer to play? I don't know if as a skip if you have preferences.
I don't really have a main preference. Oftentimes I'm playing to the weakness of my opponents. Try to figure out what they're good at, what they're bad at, and adapt my strategy to who I'm playing. So it looks like Penn State got 2 here.
Yep, good job
with
trading
hammer.
hits. Yep, clean end with hammer, and traded hits at the end to get there too. So at the end of 2 ends, it is a 2-1 lead for the Nittany Lions of Penn State over Denver Pioneers. And we'll once again check in on some of the other scores. So again, sheet 1, Wisconsin had a big first end. You can see this is a pretty open second end. I would imagine that's probably what Wisconsin wants to do. Really never let them craft points or craft big ends, them being MIT.
Especially being up 5-0
exactly.
in the second.
If they want to take 1 and then Wisconsin gets the hammer back, that's fine with them, I'm sure.
Yep.
Over on sheet 2, we have Yale in the red rocks versus Castleton in the yellow rocks. Yale looks to have an early 2-0 lead here with a relatively open house late in the second end. It looks like they're just trying to draw a second one to split the house and make it so that Castleton has to take their 1. Doesn't even have an option of blanking, but this draw looks like it's coming up short. The sweepers are doing everything
Just
they can, but they
short.
can't quite get it there. So if you're Castleton, you have options here. You can draw for 1 if you think that's safer. You can just hit that red and get 1 if you think that's safest. And if you spill, you blank the end and you keep the hammer. And that looks like that's what they're going to do on the Castleton side. I'll go back to that in just a second, but let's look at sheet 4. Sheet 4, it looks like Michigan Tech is still holding on that 2-0 lead. However, this is their last rock, and they are up against 2 in the house with a center guard. So it looks like they're being aggressive here. Based on that broom, it looks like they're going to try to draw behind those staggered centers. This could definitely...
either draw behind or they quite possibly could be drawing down to that back
down
red.
to the red, yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That would be...
You freeze on that red, and it makes it very difficult for red to get more than 1.
But that's not an easy shot, right? Freezing right down on top of
that is a very difficult shot.
Yeah,
correct.
Definitely. If it works out, that's great. It makes sure that red's never going to get more than 1, and you might steal. Alternatively, you could try hitting one of these reds out of play and guarantee you only give up 2 at most, but we'll see what happens with this stone here. And I will go back to sheet 2 right after this stone. Oh, yeah, sheet 3 is our feature sheet over there.
This looks a tad bit heavy for the freeze.
Definitely heavy for the freeze. You might want the rub at this point to get that red.
Sweepers are sweeping it.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. They would have liked to have at least bumped that red. So now there's an open draw. And on sheet 2, it looks like Castleton is done with that one. All right. Back to our feature sheet here. And I did get feedback that the Penn State player was Cameron, not Robert. So Cameron is actually the skip of that team. And I've played against Cameron before, so I probably should know better. But sorry for the delay. We had someone at the club yelling at us. Not actually, just kidding, of course. Anyways, all right, so back to the action now. Right now we have
great draw underneath there by yellow, so by the University of Denver there.
Absolutely.
Get 1 in the back 4.
Yep. Absolutely, that's a
Behind
great
all
shot.
those guards.
Yep. And so now if you're Penn State, it looks like you're chasing after them. That being said, you can see clearly who's dictating the pace of play here, because if you look at the first 2 ends, Penn State had the hammer, and both those ends were very hit-heavy, very open ends. This end, there is a lot of traffic building at the top of the 12-foot. Even this stone is going to end up, in that region there, and that tends to play more towards the advantage of the non-hammer team. I know that right now, Shot Rock, the yellow stone in the back 4, is for the hammer team. But this is still the type of game you want to play when you don't have the hammer. So it looks like Penn State's doing a good job of controlling and shaping the ends the way that they want to. That being said, just because you control the ends doesn't necessarily mean you score points, obviously.
No, and I think Penn State's, I think it's acceptable if Penn State, is okay with letting the hammer team score 1 here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, the goal of the hammer is to score multiple points, so that's still kind of a win for the Penn State team.
Absolutely.
If they hold them to just 1 here.
Yeah, when we were looking at sheet 1 earlier with that University of Wisconsin game, University of Wisconsin-Madison, that is, for them, they're up 5-0 already, so they have no problem whatsoever with giving up 1 when the other team has hammer. As long as they're not building a monster end, they're in good shape. So sometimes the goal is to just give up 1. Let the other team score 1, and you get the hammer back, and you can control the game the rest of the way. So that last draw ends up a little short. It ends up being as a very high guard, which that's okay for really both teams at this point. I'm sure Penn State will have no issues with more traffic in the center, and they're going to try to presumably get 1 around this pile on the top 12. Try to see if they can get around.
It looks like they're throwing the out turn draw here, and this is, as you said, gonna end up in the middle there, just adding to the traffic jam that we are seeing in front of the top 12 there.
Absolutely. Now you say out turn, but that's actually a lefty throwing the rock, so that's an in-turn for a lefty.
Oh, apologies. I am
Right-handed
I'm
bias.
a right-handed bias.
Yeah, exactly. No, all good. I was in the first game that I was commentating. I was also explaining that difference. So, the in-turn for right-handed players is the turn that goes clockwise, and the out turn is the one that you just saw that went counterclockwise. So, for a lefty, it is the opposite there. And another attempt by Denver, and it ends up just being a guard. So really, it looks like both teams right now are generally content with scoring one being probably what Denver is going to get. It is still there. You still could get your one if you're either team. You get two if you're Denver too. It's becoming a tougher and tougher draw path for sure.
Yeah, I believe the draw to the 4 foot's still there with the amount of curl we're seeing out there. I think you could make it past those guards at the top there.
Seems like what they're going to try to do right now. It's with Cameron Pauly throwing this rock. Sweepers are on it early and often, try to get this to go. If you're Penn State here and you don't make the perfect shot, do you prefer to miss light or do you prefer to miss heavy?
Yeah, absolutely. The miss here is light. That gives you the opportunity to tap that rock up with subsequent rocks. So it is a little short there. It still looks like yellow is shot, but again, that leaves the opportunity for Penn State to possibly tap that red.
Absolutely. And
onto the button.
And what's Denver going to do with that rock? You know, Denver can't really get that. There's so much guard. Like anything you do to get to that rock needs to be at that like draw weight, and you're just going to tap them in for shot, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like it looks like that's what Denver's doing now is just guarding.
Just guarding that.
Guarding, which
Yes.
you know that's always a position that if you're the non-hammer team, if you're Penn State, you're happy seeing the hammer team having to throw up guards to just protect their 1 point that they got. Obviously, it would be more fun and probably better if you're sitting one for the steal, but never going to complain when the other team is throwing guards to get their 1 point. That's a good looking guard right there.
That is exactly what the Pioneers were looking for there. That guard takes away, I think, any shot at tapping up that red rock.
But the other side is still available. It is a tough draw, but you can definitely still get there similar.
Yeah, this side's a little bit tougher than the side he just threw, as that yellow guard's sticking out a little bit farther than the red guard was on the other side. But I still think the draw is there.
I agree. So we'll see here. We've got a counterclockwise in-turn draw for a
Sweepers are
lefty
sweeping
here.
it.
Yep, sweepers sweeping it early, trying to get this there. So this one looks heavier.
This one looks a little bit bigger.
But the line it's cutting a lot more. It seems to be curling quite a bit. Really, the line was good, but the only way to get it around that yellow was to sweep. But by sweeping it, it was never going to stop. And unfortunately, that ends up going a little deep for Penn State there. Denver wants to try to do the same sort of thing, maybe control the top a little bit more. If it ends up being light, similar to what you were saying earlier, Matt, if it ends up being light, you at least control the draw path there.
Yeah, you control that front of the house, and it allows you to take away that draw path. This one from the Pioneers looks to be a little heavy as well. A little bit wider than the Penn State rock, but
it is coming down. It probably got a little frosty out there, but yeah, it is definitely too deep. Not really gonna do much out there.
Yep, out the back.
Absolutely. So same sort of shots. We're getting into skipped rocks now. Same sort of shots should be available now for that draw. That counterclockwise draw is still definitely there for both teams. So right now it looks like Denver is sitting one with basically the only way to get two is you need to get close to full 4 foot. And the stone from Eric Welp is on the way.
Sweepers are sweeping this one hard as well. Looks like it's gonna just be a guard right there.
Yeah, probably gonna be just a guard. No harm really done. I mean, this is an end that you're really not going to be doing a lot of harm to yourself. The The only thing I could see maybe harming yourself is if you hung out wide and then it just basically stuck around the tee, and then you give the other team a hit and roll, possibly to get 2 points if they hit and rolled in. So it's really, there's no harm done by just drawing it. There also would be no harm done if it stayed high as a guard too, and stayed out wide.
And take away that draw path.
Exactly. So once again, this end is to the tempo of Penn State, despite the fact that in all likelihood Denver is going to win the end and get a point. This is an end you would say Penn State did their job for the most part. They had chances to steal. They didn't quite get it, but they basically made it so that they were never under any stress that Denver was going to get a big end. And the draw here from Sylvia Barnes. This is her out turn as a right-handed player. Sweepers are off it right now, meaning they want it to slow down a little bit. And it looks like it is
really
now.
Cutting in there.
Yeah, they got to make sure they stay on that line.
Make sure you get by that yellow.
Oh boy, if they get by that yellow, I think they might have actually been able to get that. Now the result's not bad though. Right?
Yeah. She still has, Sylvia still has one more rock, and she possibly can tap that yellow rock up if Penn State does not do something with it. However, it looks like they are calling for the takeout on that yellow rock. There is a double there. It's a rather long double, but Penn State could double it out for possibly 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, you're right. It's one of those things where it's like, it's in a great spot if you're Denver to block the draw path, but it does leave that double. It's not an easy shot by any means, but it is definitely something they can attempt.
Sweepers, however, are sweeping it for line, which means it might be on the inside of that yellow, so that's going to make it difficult for the double.
It is. Okay. All right, well, it didn't make the double. Denver's still sitting 1. It just makes the draw path even more difficult, really. I mean, it's just got to be wider, right, because they just chipped on that yellow. So really the only thing I can see is maybe you got a skinny pass, and by skinny I mean just barely get past that red, and maybe get about half to the 4-foot and hope that you outcount that red that Cameron threw earlier.
I agree. I think the draw is definitely still there. I think you can bite half of that 4-foot. It looks like a sliver of that 4-foot's still exposed behind that guard, so as you were alluding to, skinnying that red or just making it just past that red, real close.
Yep.
I think you could potentially sit 2.
Yep. And it's really the only shot I would ever try. I mean, you can see on the other side, if you wanted to run that yellow guard back and try to hit into the red, there's a lot that probably could go wrong with that, right? That's
a sharp angle too.
It is.
And there's a jam potential that you run that red right into
and you
the
just
yellow
hand them a point, right?
Hand them a
Maybe
point.
even multiple if your shooter and spills too.
Now I'm unsure what just happened here.
Did they pick it? Did they burn it?
It looks like it was a burned rock.
Huh. Something under it? It looks like they think something's under
they're
it.
checking underneath it to see if there's anything under it.
Well, regardless, it looks like that's the end, and it's 1 point for Denver, so it will be a 2-2 game at the end of 3 ends. So coming back for the 4th, we will have a halftime break after 4 ends. So we have one more break, or one more end left, but it looks like the score will be 2-2 at the end of 3, with Penn State returning to having the hammer. And if we go around the sheets, looks like Wisconsin ended up stealing one in that open end that we saw earlier. Looks like a much better end now. Looks like they have a chance here to draw for 3, it looks like. I think this is the Hammerstone, so this could get them right back into the game. That, again, being MIT here. Matt, what's going on sheet 3 here as they make the draw here for 3? Good shot by MIT. What's going on here on sheet 3? It's not on camera, so
there's quite a meeting of both teams in the center of the ice where the rock is stopped, and there seems to be a rules official, and now our club ice crew is heading out. I think there might be a piece for a scratch or a dent in the ice.
Ooh, okay, so they might have to do some emergency maintenance here.
Possibly might warrant a repair. I'm uncertain, but yeah, we do have the ice crew out there looking at it, as well as the rules official.
And it looks like they're sweeping it. So we're commentating this just because we know this is the middle of the sheet, so you guys can't see it on the stream. But it looks like there is some dead patch. So while we're in a lull here, why don't we check in on sheet 4, talk through some of these games here. Sheet 4 here. This is Michigan Tech's second to last stone. So first skip rock with hammer. They're down 3-2 to University of Wisconsin-Stevens.
Oh, and that was a fantastic run.
Oh my goodness!
That was
We've
a
seen some darts from
fantastic
her.
run.
That is just absolutely terrific. Absolutely terrific. And so this is some Pool D action. Our feature sheet is Pool A action, but that is a great shot on Pool D, and that's just excellent. That's Gracie Cohn who just threw that dart for the run back there that you see. So now Michigan Tech is sitting 1. They do have a biter in the back, and they, I think, have a fully exposed red rock there on the side that they could hit with their hammer if they needed to. Might be tough to get that rock to roll into the rings, but we'll see what University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point chooses to do here. Any update on sheet 3, Matt? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, so it looks like we've moved on to the fourth end. It seems like the determination was made that the ice is fit to continue play. No repairs were needed. However, there was a lot of sweeping of debris off the ice, so still uncertain exactly what the problem was on sheet 3, but we are now returning to action on sheet 3.
Okay. And it looks like they're just about finishing their break, so I'll quickly just go in just because we don't give our leads enough love here. So I'll quickly show Thomas Barr here, throw his lead rock here on sheet 3.
Yep, and it looks like Denver's just looking for a center guard here.
They're throwing pretty much right over the patch, or very close to the patch. That was the issue before, and it seems like
it seemed a
little
bit
wider,
a little bit wider,
wider.
Probably a foot or so wider.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on that later. See if that line ends up doing something weird.
Definitely, we'll see if that issue is still a reoccurring issue. Or
that's
was
a perfect center line guard. I mean, it's biting the center line, which if it ends up getting ticked, I'll talk to in a second. But quickly, I do want to go back to sheet 4 because it is hammer rock here. And actually, an unfortunate miss actually from shot for 3. Unfortunate miss from University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point actually ended up bumping their second count out of the rocks, and now their biter is, I believe, outcounted by that back yellow. So it's basic draw here for 3 from Gracie Cohn.
Looks like
it's a little heavy, but I think it's going to stick around. We'll see. It's close. It's going to stick around, and that's for 3 for Michigan Tech. All right, back to our feature sheet.
Now, Penn State's first rock was a draw to the center there, just a bit heavy, and went through the back of the house.
Gotcha. And that's Robert Chappell through that. All right.
It seems like
this one is
Denver
going right.
is
and that's going more
playing
over that
for
patch.
the draw behind. However, that was closer to that suspect patch of ice that there was a long discussion about.
It ended up being narrow, but it was light and narrow, but not a bad result. It ends up being another guard, and all it does is just promote up that guard into a top 12 rock. So really strong steal position here for Denver. Kind of the first time without hammer. They haven't had hammer for 3 of the 4 ends. This is the first one of the 3 ends that they've really started to set up this end the way that they want to start to play their tempo of game.
Looks like Penn State was looking to come around those top 2 rocks, and the sweepers are sweeping this one hard. However, it looks like it's going to be just short in between those 2 yellow rocks.
Okay.
Biting the top of the house there. I think that's a biter.
I think it's a biter too. I don't know.
It's tough to see on stream, but
probably won't matter at the end of this, but we'll see. Especially with that yellow that's there. But now it looks like Denver's going to try to draw behind. Now there's a stockpile of staggered guards up top. This is a beautiful setup for Denver if you want to steal here. And another comment from Pat Howard, who will actually be on the call. I believe this is Pat Howard, who will be on the call for our third game, our feature game at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Talk about how Skip is on point over on sheet 4. Absolutely. A few great shots that we've looked over, happened to see from Gracie Cohn over there. All right. And a nice looking draw over here on our feature sheet. So
looks like Denver's just trying to add to their stockpile on top of the house there.
Exactly. Really control this end.
Control the front of the house. Really allowing for them to either A, bump those rocks back later on, or just control the center of the house.
So a couple really nice shots there from Tegan, Weindell to really set this up nicely for them. And now Penn State's just trying to start to open up that center, knowing that this is not going the way that they want this end to go. They do pick off the top yellow, so it is productive, and it picked off, and also the shooter rolled out, which is so important if you want to try to open it up. So many times, I'm sure you've seen that, where you try to peel a guard and you just leave a stone right in its place.
Absolutely, and that was the 6th rock of the end, so that was outside the free guard zone, or outside the
5 rock. Yep, 5 rock
free guard zone.
Roll. Absolutely.
As that was the 6th rock that was thrown of the end, so the first 5 rocks, if they're outside the house, in front of the house, they are what are considered free guards. You cannot remove them from play. If you do, the guard goes back and the opposing rock gets taken out of play.
Makes sense. And similarly, I might have alluded to it earlier, but I never actually explained, but the center line, if a rock's on the center line,
yes.
Have we talked about that yet?
No, we have not talked about the no-tick rule.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that situation comes up. I don't want to necessarily anger people. I know people will get hostile if I start explaining too many rules too quickly. Either people already know the rule and they don't care to hear it, or this is a rule that's very nuanced. So I will explain that rule if the situation comes to it. But it's a similar vein to what Matt just explained with the free guard zone.
And it looks like Penn State was just trying to run that top red into the top yellow there, and possibly take out 1 or 2 of those yellows up there, and just a bit wide.
Yeah, unfortunate miss, but now it just allows Denver to really just keep trying these shots that are, as you and I call, Matt, I know we've played together a lot, these are like high percentage shots. If you hit your draw, fantastic. If you leave it as a guard, that's a fine result too. That's still doing what you wanted to do, and this is what's exactly happening. I believe Sylvia called the draw on this. This just ends up really nicely corner freezing. Little light, but that's all it's doing is just putting more traffic up in the front, and it's just forcing Penn State to have to chase after you, try to open this back up with hammer.
Now this is a tough shot from Penn State. It looks like they're attempting to try to line up a double here with those rocks. If you come at it from the side that they just threw that guard on, I think it makes that double very difficult. So I think that's why Penn State's coming from the other side for this double.
Makes sense. But there's still going to be traffic in the front, so this is still playing, even with the double made.
Absolutely.
Denver still can draw one back there with staggered guards. So really nicely crafted end here by Denver. I gave a lot of credit to Penn State for controlling the first 3 ends, but this end for sure is definitely playing to Denver's tempo here.
And I agree with you there, Brad. I don't think even with the double here, I don't think you're going to still be shot rock.
Right.
Yep. So.
Absolutely. Let's see, right now we have 35 people on the stream watching. Again, I will reiterate, if you have anything you want to chat, any shout outs, anything like that, feel free to jump on and chat with us. We're happy to take any comments, happy to get any feedback from people. So any material you have for us, we'd love to hear it. And so over on some of the other sheets, it looks like the back and forth affair on sheet 4 between Michigan Tech and University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point is once again tipping the other way. Now we have a big end possibly brewing for University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point over on sheet 4, so that's going to be a great one to watch coming down the stretch. So we will definitely keep you in touch there. Sheet 1 still 6-3 with the defending national champions University of Wisconsin out of Madison leading over MIT, but MIT is clawing back in that game. And it looks like it's 3-1. That's the game we probably have given the least attention to, and we'll give some more attention, more love to sheet 2 in a little bit, maybe at this next break, where Yale leads Castleton by a score of 3-1 in the fourth end. All these games in the fourth end going to the halftime break fairly soon. Meanwhile, over here on this sheet, Denver is now sitting 1-2. Looks like the call here is to take out that yellow. I don't know if that doubles there. It's going to be hard to get around that high yellow guard. Yeah, it's not there. There's no.
Yeah,
I don't think
this is
to
a
get
really
around
tough
that
shot
yellow,
to get inside
Yeah.
inside the yellow guard.
Yeah, you can get one. You can definitely pick out that yellow, but I don't think there's a double there. And maybe that's the point of the shot, but the center will still be pretty well guarded for Denver. So let's see what happens here.
Looks a little narrow. They're sweeping it for line.
Narrow's great if they can just skinny past that guard, but I don't know if they're going to be able to.
Oh.
And they got close. They got about as close as you could come to the shot that I said I didn't think was there. That was almost perfect. It does, however, do something good. It does expose that one yellow rock, the shot rock in the center. So now Denver has to do something about that. Now knowing that the yellow rock is wide open if they want to chase that with Eric Welp's skip rocks.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Brad. I think it shook up that guard structure up front enough that it exposes that shot rock. So I would foresee Denver possibly putting something up in front of that. It seems like they're trying to play a hit here. They're going to try to hit Penn State's lone rock in the house, possibly roll in front to try to be a guard.
I mean, I can see merit to that shot. It is pretty well guarded with that corner guard, though. I wouldn't come at it with anything more than like back.
It's definitely
8 weight at most.
It's definitely a tough shot, and to get the perfect roll out of it is going to be difficult.
Right. I mean, it's okay. I probably would just call the guard. You're sitting 1-2, and you don't have hammer here. You're just trying to steal. I do love the aggression, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if Sylvia throws a dart here, I will absolutely stand corrected.
That rock seems a little light. The
We got a
sweepers are
comment
on
here
it.
from, it's a little light. I mean, if it ends up being a guard, that's okay, as long as it actually guards the line.
Well, this might end up perfect.
Will it bounce?
Did
Any
it
bounce you
enough?
could get? Ooh,
It does make that port smaller.
very tight. I think it's there, and it looks like Penn State's going to go for it. Try to get in between all that traffic up front and try to blast that yellow out of play. If nothing else, if you hit one of those stones, not necessarily a bad thing, right? You open it up a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Opening this up is not a horrible result. Obviously, hitting shot rock is the call.
Absolutely. I see a comment in the chat from Emily Barr saying, "Hey Thomas, go Denver." I assume based on context clues, because I'm smart like that, referring to the lead Thomas Barr, who also has that last name. So glad to hear some support.
Penn State
over
sweeping
there,
this for curl.
2 time zones away.
Does not quite make it inside. However, they do peel off that top.
They peel
that
off
top
the top
guard and open that front up just a bit more.
It does, and they do set up 3rd, 4th, and 5th count. If they can ever find a way to double those yellows out, they could have a monster end.
That is a very steep double. As we were talking before, those yellow rocks are pretty even with each other. To make that double difficult.
Absolutely.
Not saying it's impossible.
Yes.
I'm sure we could get.
You're saying there's a chance.
Danny Casper out here.
Yeah, we'll call him in. Might
to
have a
throw that
chance.
shot, but that is.
I believe this is Skip's last rock. So yeah, there's only one rock left. Denver is still sitting 1 and 2.
You must be a wizard, Brad, because that is Emily's little brother.
I am a wizard. Excellent. Emily, glad to have you listening in and supporting your brother. I'm sure he appreciates it.
All right, the rock is off for the University of Denver.
So what's the call here? Are they just trying to throw a guard?
Yeah, it looks like they're calling for a guard up top there to try to tighten up that front. However, it looks like they're going to get a bump on that top yellow.
Okay. Well, if I'm yellow, I don't hate that
I don't
result
hate
at
that.
all.
You are now 1, 2, and 3.
Absolutely. You didn't guard the rock like you wanted to, but it is, I mean, it's a hard shot up against 3.
Yes, it makes the job for Penn State here very difficult with hammer to prevent a steal. It looks like they're still going for that shot rock.
But the way they're coming at it, if they hit it,
They could hit and stick for one.
yeah, but that's gonna be hard to stick. It's got to be perfect. There's definitely a risk here.
They are sweeping hard for line.
Hard for line. Cameron on the sweep. Ooh, and it crashes
Just
on that
crashed
guard up
onto
there.
that guard.
And
So-
that is a big swing there. That is a steal of 3 for the Denver Pioneers.
Yep.
So at the end of 4, they will take a 5-2 lead over the Nittany Lions of Penn State. And with that, we will check in on some of the other sheets, as this is now going to take a 5-minute halftime break.
Yep. So looks like sheet 2.
Sheet 2, we haven't given a lot of love to sheet 2.
I believe they're one of the only other sheets that is not on break.
Sheet
currently.
1's on break, yeah. Sheet 4 is also available.
And
They
this
have
looks
2
like
rocks left.
hammer. They're really talking this shot over. So those of you at home, the way the time breakdown for all of the games this weekend are thinking time. So thinking time is based off of you have a half hour throughout the entire game to discuss all shots. It starts when the opponent's rock comes to a rest and they clear out of the house. That's when your thinking time starts to the time that you cross the tee line with your own rock in your throwing motion. So you have 30 minutes throughout the entire game to think about and talk about your shots, and each team does have 1 timeout.
Thank you for filling that in. Yeah, that's probably very different from anyone who's listening that does curl. We don't usually get that luxury at our club level.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to get timers for leagues.
yeah, it is hard. I don't know why. We were trying to fill out leagues, and then anyone who signs up late, well, you get the luxury of being a timer, and if we're short, you can be the first sub. Maybe you should do that for the Platonic League that you chair.
Yeah.
It's one of the Monday night leagues that we have here at Schenectady Curling Club. Stone on the way. It looks like they're going for kind of a heavy draw bump. And it might be too heavy. The sweeper's sweeping, and it does
just
sweep out.
Small piece of it.
Yep. So that looks like it's too yellow.
Yep. So we will switch over to sheet 4 here,
Sounds good.
as this is the
The
last
final-
rock.
this is the hammer rock.
of the end.
Trying to draw for 2. It looks like for
Looks like
University
they
of
are trying to
Wisconsin.
draw
Seems my
for 2.
sweepers are trying to
The
hold it,
sweepers
and
are
it's
really trying. Oh,
just bit hard
just
at the end.
inside.
And that's a score of 1, so that is going to be a 1-point game at the intermission.
So,
So-
to recap the scores that we have right now,
We'll start here on 4. Start here on 4. It should be 5-4
It looks like it is 5-4
in favor
here
of
on
Michigan
4.
Tech.
Sheet 3, it looks like it is 5-2.
5-2. Yep. Sheet 2
Sheet 2, we are deadlocked at 3.
And sheet 1, we missed this at the end, but it looks like Wisconsin.
It looks like
with
10
hammer.
10
It
to
does
3?
10-3. That's what it looks like. So Wisconsin, with the defending national champions, with a big 4th end, back in the driver's seat after MIT had that big 3rd end to claw back into it. So we'll see how that progresses. All right.
And we still have 3 minutes left on the intermission here, or the halftime break.
And as my colleague takes a quick intermission, I'm just going to get to some of the comments in the chat. Again, love to hear if anyone's there in the chat listening in as we have this break here. But looks like there was a question of do teams bring their own stones, and thank you to Pat Howard who answered, nope, we have stones at the club here, so everyone uses the same stones. Usually stones are club specific, so you just show up at a club and you use their stones. No need to go buy your expensive granite rocks. So that's good news. Any other questions and comments? This is a great time to throw them up there. I'll be happy to address those. While we're waiting, we did send out a questionnaire to some of the college students ahead of time, see if they wanted to give us any additional information, make it interesting for our the sake of our broadcast here. And so if I go and look at, let's see, Penn State, I don't have anything for Denver, unfortunately, but for Penn State, we do have a few shout-outs here. Cameron Pauly wishes to shout out his grandparents, Jim and Penny. Eric, who's throwing the skip rocks for Penn State, wants to shout out my family and the general fans. So anyone who's here that is a general fan, Eric is thanking you. Istvan Preda, who's throwing the second rocks, wants to shout out his uncle and siblings. And Robert Chappell wants to shout out Grandma Sally and Grandma Leslie. So if anyone's listening or listens to this stream later after we post it, when it's not live, just know that they were thinking about you. I see Wisconsin's rain has to be stopped. Comment in the chat here. Well, I would love to do that myself, but I am far out of college at this point, so I'm going to have to rely on my alma mater, RPI, who are also competing in this nationals, to hopefully make a deep run. As we mentioned, my colleague Matt here, his alma mater is Penn State, so he's not biased. He promises he's not biased, but definitely he hopes that that's the case for them. And we're back in action now in this fifth end with Denver stealing 3. They get to keep not having hammer. That's the important thing to note for those who are new to curling, is when your team steals a point, meaning you did not have hammer but you score, you get to keep not having hammer. So sometimes teams get in a real groove, a real rhythm, when they don't have hammer, where basically it's just an endless cycle of steal, steal, steal. And especially at really any level that's not the extreme, highest of highest Olympian levels. At the Olympics, anyone who was starting to follow curling probably was like, oh, having hammer is huge. That's great. And it is. It really is. But when you are at a level where you're not making 85% of your shots, you're making more like 50% of your shots, well, then it's a lot different in terms of how useful the hammer advantage is. And so sometimes when you're really good without hammer, you get into a really nice rhythm stealing. And then when you steal, your reward for stealing is you get the opportunity to steal again and steal again. And have you seen that, Matt, in your experience?
Yeah, I've definitely played a few games where it's really hard to get rid of the hammer. And it's a lot easier to steal your way out. Some might call me a bandit, but I do find stealing can sometimes be a little bit easier than getting to with hammer.
Understood. Yeah, I have seen plenty of teams like that. Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. It's hard sometimes when you get in a rut, or get focused in on a specific strategy and have to change that.
Absolutely. Oh, we have a comment here. Is college nationals not a high level? No, it absolutely is a high level, and I definitely don't mean to take anything away. This is definitely a higher level where hammer is certainly a huge advantage. That's why you saw the first couple ends, Penn State playing open ends with hammer and doing it quite effectively. I mean, especially because they tried to blank that first end. Like I was mentioning at the beginning, at the club level, we don't really see blank ends all that often. But for sure, generally speaking, you can still, we're all human here, and some of these people have curled maybe 3-4 years, and sometimes it's just like you get into a rhythm without the hammer and you just continue to steal. The shot percentage just goes up because, as I was mentioning before, I think it was the last end that Denver had, when you can have the ability to throw a draw and you can miss light and it's still a made shot. I'm putting air quotations here. People can't see me on camera here, but if you leave a stone short, that is still effectively a made shot because you're setting up your end and progressing the end in your favor. Whereas sometimes with hammer, if you don't make the shot the way you want it to, it doesn't help you. So misses are truly misses, whereas when the strategy is more, let's play to the center, when we don't have the hammer, let's try to junk it up, even your missed shots can still be made shots. So it really increases your shot percentage overall as a team. So we see that quite a bit. But no, that's a good comment. This is definitely high-level curling, so I expect always to see hammer teams having a strong advantage. But there definitely is the case. There are situations you'll see throughout this Nationals tournament where teams will get into a rhythm, stealing points.
So it looks like Denver's just trying to draw another one in here. I think she was looking for this to be top 8.
Yep. And while there are no guards in play, there are a couple counters that yellow has here, kind of towards the center. They definitely don't want this to go deep, which this looks really heavy. It's going to rub. It's going to rub a rock. Actually,
split those apart.
That's actually a really solid result. Not necessarily for stealing, but for making it so that the scoring area tightens up, and that red rock that you see in the 12-foot never ends up mattering. It's really useful to have those 2 stones there. And a lot of the game here is really trying to play the scoreboard. So obviously right now Denver, the scoreboard's flipped for them. They have a 5-2 lead, so they can afford to let Penn State take 1 with hammer if they want to. They don't need to force the issue and steal here. I've only been mentioning for the last few minutes, like sometimes it's easier to just get in that groove and keep stealing, but strategically, based on the scoreboard, there is nothing wrong with basically playing an open end and giving up a steal of 1 as you need to.
That was a nice double there.
Was a really nice double.
From Penn State. Take out that shot rock as well as looked like 4th count there in the back. However, just getting yellows out of the rings is a solid strategy for them.
Absolutely.
At this current
so
moment.
Penn State is sitting 2 and 3. Denver's sitting 1. So what's the logic behind this shot call here, Matt? It looks like Denver's trying to draw to that red, it looks like, or draw maybe behind that red over on the left side. What's the logic there?
Yeah, it looks like Denver's just trying to split the house up a little. If they can get another counter in there, it makes it difficult for Penn State to go for both of those rocks. However, this ends up a little bit short. That is still 4th count. It looks like Penn State's going to try to chip that yellow shot rock out, but if Denver was able to get that rock
even a foot further
into the 8-foot,
yep.
It kind of makes Penn State have a little bit of pause on their next few shots.
Would you ever consider just having hit that rock, the one that the yellow ended up in front of? Would you ever have just hit that rock just to make sure it's like, we're going to do damage control?
Yeah, you could. You absolutely could.
So shot is on the way here. Sweeper's on it, on the inside trying to hold line.
Looks like they're on that red.
Squeezed what a great sweep.
That's
great sweep and a great shot. Great sweep, great shot.
Great shot.
And suddenly, just like that, Penn State is back in business, sitting 1, 2, and 3 with the hammer in this 5th end.
So now it looks like Denver's just going to go after that rock over there that's sitting 2nd. Try to hit and roll.
Absolutely.
To the center.
And if you find a way to hit in that pocket there and get both the stones out, it's not a bad shot either. Getting rocks out of play.
Absolutely not. Looks like they're just going to hit and stick. That does cut Penn State down just to be
looks like 1.
Sitting 1 right now. However, it looks like Penn State's going to try to remove that yellow to again sit 3.
Possibly 3. It depends on where that roll is, because you can see now that yellow that they threw 2 rocks ago may outcount where the yellow ends up being.
It looks like we have a shout out here from Jordan Lexi. We got the dream team on the microphone here.
Oh, absolutely. We got the dream team here. It'd only be better if you were here, Jordan.
Local legend Jordan Lexi.
Local legend. Absolutely. Thanks for the shout out, Jordan. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got to get you on more of these calls. People don't want to hear me just talk monologue all the time, so we got to get you on more of these calls, man. Oh, that's... Ooh, if that sticks around, that's a good shot. But the risk there is they kind of had to. They only got a piece of it and it jammed on that other red, and now this has kind of flipped back in favor of Denver. Definitely.
Also heading back to the chat, looks like we have a go PSU.
Oh, of course you like to see that. Yeah,
love to see that.
No bias here. Right?
No bias. We are.
All right. Well, I'll be a big Denver guy. As I told the first stream I was calling, and I think I said to this stream as well, I'm flying out to Utah Wednesday next week with my wife for a little vacation. And Utah's not Colorado. Please don't get any Colorado fans. Please don't hang me by my ears for saying that. But I will be going out to the Midwest, so I will, or not Midwest, excuse me, Mountain West. And so now they're really going to hate me for calling them the Midwest. But going out to the Mountain West, so looking forward to that. It's going to be a beautiful trip. So I will be the Denver fan here if you're going to be the Penn State guy.
Like I said, I'm trying my best to be unbiased today. So it looks like Denver was attempting to draw behind on the left-hand side of the house there, to try to sit behind their own guard.
Unable to do so, though, unfortunately.
Just a bit heavy. And it looks like Penn State may be going for a heavy draw here.
Cameron Pauly's definitely going to try to throw something and just bump that yellow out back there. They have the sweeper trying to push it now as hard as possible. So you mentioned earlier sweeping is big for directionality. So they're trying to get this to curl, right? Oh, and unfortunately it just doesn't quite curl enough. Sweeping also, for draw weights, typically you're trying to carry distance, correct?
Yeah, so you can do a few things with sweeping. You can obviously get the rock to run straighter. You can sweep for weight, so you're not increasing the speed of the rock, but you're getting it to maintain its weight for a longer distance.
Yep.
And then also you can sweep to push the rock under.
Understood.
So you can sweep to push the rock to curl more.
So I see Pat on the chat now taunting me as a big Midwest fan on the broadcast. Yeah, I guess so. What defines the Midwest to you? You as a Pittsburgh native, that's not Midwest, right?
Well,
you would never call Pittsburgh Midwest.
So technically, the Midwest is termed from the Appalachian Mountains to the Rockies.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, the Rockies are in Colorado.
Pittsburgh does fall in the definition of the Midwest.
All right.
However, I feel like Pittsburgh's very, very east for the Midwest. It's East Midwest.
Well, I know. So I have plenty of friends from Missouri who say that that's true Midwest, and if you're from Michigan, that's fake Midwest. So I don't know. Could be a northern southern bias. I don't know. But anyways, my apologies to any Denver fans that are watching here. Certainly, I would never mean to categorize you as Midwest. That is disrespectful, and I give my sincerest apologies to you guys on that.
So it looks like Penn State's still coming after this shot rock.
Yes.
Behind that red of theirs.
Definitely with that guard that Denver just placed, that line is very tricky.
Makes it very difficult.
You got to be inside, or you got to get inside that yellow, but then not curl enough and dive off. And coming inside out, we saw it on the first stream. Coming inside out, it is very hard to predict those lines. Oh man, and that was close.
Just clipped the guard.
So unfortunately, Eric Welp's first skip rock does crash the guard. That's okay though; it's still productive, and that now it's leaving that shot for them. Denver going to try to put a second counter in based on where that broom is. It looks like they're not going to try to guard it anymore. Maybe they're just going to try to put a second yellow in that's sitting inside of that red rock that's in the edge of the 8-foot there. And that way, there's going to be no doubles. Penn State just has to accept taking their one, which is a good result for Denver. And looking at those stones, it's hard to tell, but I think that yellow outcounts that red on the top 12. So I think even if a miss here from Denver, I think worst case scenario, Penn State only scores 2 here. I think that yellow outcounts the red. Do you think so too?
Yeah,
if it ever came down
it does
to
look like that yellow outcounts the red.
that. So it's really a matter of where this shot ends up. But this looks like
This
a great
looks
shot.
like it's going to be top 4,
Yeah,
maybe T.
That's a great shot.
That's a fantastic position.
Yeah. What do you call here if you're Penn State, Matt? And by if you're Penn State, I mean pretend you're skipping. What's your favorite shot here to get you one?
I think just the hit and stick.
Yep.
Hit and stick on that yellow that was just thrown. I will say it looks like that issue that was identified in the third end is no longer an issue.
Yeah,
that was almost
over
the
it.
same path that she just
That's a
threw.
good observation. Absolutely. So Eric Welp on the way. It looks like they're doing exactly what you said. Hit and stick is the goal here. They're sweeping.
This is the hammer rock.
It is the hammer rock. They're sweeping for line. Now they're sweeping to push.
They're back to
Now they're
sweeping
to
for line.
Usually that means it's close. Usually that's a good sign. It
Ooh,
hits.
we might get the double.
Not quite. But
not
actually,
quite heavy enough.
I don't even think they were calling for that. Maybe they were.
They were
But
discussing it.
But if they got that double, if they push that Yellowstone another like 3 inches, they probably get about they get their 2 points there. So.
There was a small discussion over that double.
Yep. And that gets back to what you're saying, the hit and stick, as you're saying. Like, the hit's probably the safer call anyways, because even if you just hit the rock out of play but you spill, at least it's not a steal of 2, it's only a steal of 1. So it makes sense. The hit is probably the better call anyways on that situation.
So
and we have a break now at the end of 5 ends. Score is 5-3 Denver.
5-3, and we'll switch over to sheet 2.
Sure.
Looks like this is Yale's hammer rock here.
Yep.
So it looks like Yale's just trying to take that shot yellow rock out.
Yep. Just hit it and stick around.
Get
their one.
Get their one. Going back to what you were saying, I like the hit and stick for one. I felt like there was a lot of downside to the attempt of the double.
Yep.
You can hit and roll out.
Yep. Really nice shot there. Really well done.
All right, we'll switch back to sheet 3 here.
Sounds
It looks
good.
like
Yale
action
now has
is
the
about
lead
to
after
start.
5.
They have. They are currently throwing lead rocks. So this is Robert Chappelli. Robert Chappell.
Chapel, yep.
Excuse me.
All right, you're good. You're a Penn State fan, so the Penn State fans listening on the broadcast, they'll give you all the all the excuses.
Switch to sheet 4
if I said
here
that,
real quick.
yeah, please do. Go for it.
There's an interesting situation where they are discussing. Oh, well, he's got to walk down there, but. So right now, as it looks on stream, that yellow rock is not quite counting on sheet 4 here. However, they do have a rules official that is headed down there with what looks to be a bar. Brad, do you want to?
Oh yeah,
talk
that's
about
the biter bar. Yes, so that is measured exactly to the radius of the house. So the house should be in general 6 feet. So the diameter is 12 feet long. So basically, you have 6 feet long pole, and basically you put it right. There's a tiny little hole in the center, right where the pin is. You put it in there and you swing it around, and if it makes any contact with that stone, it's in. It's like tennis. If a stone or if the ball even just a bit of it grazes the line, it's in. So we will see if this has any chance to graze. This camera is not official. The house is also not official. You know, those houses are put in play at the beginning of the season, so it's tough. We'll see. He pulls it out, so it looks like it's a blank end over there, or it's at least not counting.
And we will switch back to sheet 3 here.
Very good.
Penn State first was a corner guard, and looks like Denver came around, and Penn State is throwing
Closer to the center here,
another guard here, closer to the center.
Yep. So definitely a decision here if you're the Denver skip. Sylvia Barnes making a decision on where you want this stone to be. So right now, if you're going in the mind of Sylvia, you're thinking, I'm up 2. I have the hammer. It's the 6th end right here. Really, what I just want to do here is not give up a steal. If I just take, even if I take my 1 point here, there's 2 ends left. We're up 3, and theoretically, either they're going to score with hammer and I'll have hammer final end, either with the lead or tied, as long as disaster doesn't unfold, or I steal in the 7th and we're up even bigger. We have an even bigger lead. What you really can't afford to do is give up a steal here in this 6th end if you're up 2 with the hammer. So if I'm Sylvia, I'm trying to just keep this relatively open, relatively stress-free. If I only get 1, that is still a good result for me. Giving up a steal is the unacceptable result here. So that's how game strategy does change a little bit as you play the scoreboard and you play the point of the game that you're in.
It looks like Penn State's just trying to draw to the center here.
Yeah. Looks
Sweepers are sweeping hard.
It looks a bit light, but
I agree.
But again, a guard's not bad. Sweeper's doing a good job extending this, though, to be honest.
Skip is calling for it to be in, so
So
just ticked off that top center guard.
It does leave it exposed. I would be very surprised if Denver did not take it out here.
Yep.
And that's the call.
That is the call.
That's a really, really wise decision here from Sylvia. Just in general, yeah, giving whatever turn is preferred for Tegan Weindell here, because you just want to get that rock out of play. Make it super open, make it super easy. That's a stone that if you ignore that, that's going to be a nuisance to you the rest of the end. So the stone from Tegan here is a little wide. We'll see if they can use anything to chip off of. Ooh. Okay.
They got a piece of it.
They did get a piece, so now they're sitting shot, which is good. That's obviously, it's ideally they would have gotten that out of play, but it did at least get enough of a piece and had big enough weight to get that red where it's not really in a danger zone anymore. I'd probably, if I'm Denver, I won't worry about that rock unless it's, I want to play super conservatively later. But when you have hammer and that stone's out there in the 12 foot, I probably would ignore that for I think it served the purpose. Tegan's shot served its purpose.
And also, it seems like Penn State's not really paying much mind to Denver's
yellow counter
in the 8 foot. So it seems like both teams are kind of ignoring.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Basically, Penn State knows they need to steal here. Like, this is a situation where you really want to get aggressive and go for the steal. And if you're Denver, this is a situation where you really just want to get your 1 and not give up that steal.
Yep.
So that stone just ends up going to the back of the house, maybe a back biter.
Definitely looks like it's biting there in the back of the house.
But again, that's not really a threat right now to Denver.
Oh.
Realistically, the only time that would be a threat is if you got to skip rocks and you had nothing in the house, and then you just have pressure on Sylvia to make a big shot. But
it looks like Denver's trying to just draw another one in there.
Yep.
Second count.
Absolutely. And if you're doing that, then you never care about those biters, the 12-foot red rocks. Those don't matter to you.
I will say this rock looks a little bit heavy.
It does look heavy. Can it come down to that back red that was just
going to make it to the back red?
It might not. It might rub it.
Chips it out.
It does chip it out. Not that it really mattered, but I guess it's never a headache. It's never going to trip your skip. I know you like to trip me when I'm playing with you.
those ankle breakers are.
Yeah, exactly.
They can be a little scary, especially with the red house. Those red rocks sometimes blend in back there.
That's right. We got 40 people on the stream right now. Again, I will give another reminder. I feel like every 2 ends around the same time I give a reminder, but feel free to put anything you want in the chat. Any shout outs, any questions you may have about curling. If you want to heckle us, we'll allow that as well. I wonder if anyone from our work, Matt and I do, not only do we curl together, we also work together, so there may be people at our work that may be watching. So hello to you guys if you are watching. Hopefully I've heckled Matt to your liking, and vice versa.
So it looks like Penn State's just throwing a guard here up top.
Yep. And now, why would you want to throw a guard here, Matt? It's beyond the free guard zone rule. It looks like they're trying to get it deeper anyways, but why would the guard be a call anyways?
I think the intention was to draw in there, but that guard allows Penn State to control the front of the house, especially with not having Hammer. Controlling that front is huge. So I think they're just looking to control that front, possibly use that rock later on in the end here.
Absolutely. I think that's a very useful rock if I'm Penn State.
Oh, that's a great
I'm happy
rock.
with that spot. And actually,
Top 12 is...
I know it's risky because Denver only has one stone in the house, and you definitely don't want to run that red at an angle into your yellow, but I don't like where that rock is. If I'm Denver, I don't like that red rock at all. That red rock makes me a little nervous. But then when you throw a great rock like this, maybe it doesn't matter. It's a great
slight rub off
slight
that top
rub.
guard,
It probably would have been better to get behind, but Penn State would have run it back anyways, right?
Right.
Not that that's necessarily an easy shot, but it's nice. The important thing for Denver is they're sitting 1-2 right now.
Right, yeah. Get a second counter in there.
Yep.
Make Penn State have to do something with it.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we're about to see here. Looks like Penn State's lining up the takeout on that
That's right.
shot yellow.
Matt, if you can, I don't know if you can see from your angle, how much time's on the clock for each team? I don't know if you can see those numbers or not.
Looks like Penn State's got 13 minutes left, and University of Denver's got about 12 and a half minutes left on their clock as well. So both are doing
They're doing
pretty,
really well.
pretty
on
good
time.
on
Yeah,
time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you get, as Matt alluded to earlier, you get about half an hour for discussion and shot attempting time. So anytime that the stone's not in motion, the clock's running on your team, and that you want to be 15 minutes halfway through the game. We're well into the sixth end now, and it looks like both teams are doing great on time. So
yeah,
no concerns there. And this is a great looking shot.
A great takeout by Penn State. Yep. That's exactly what they were looking for there. Hit and stick.
Cameron made a great shot there. We got a comment here. Shout out to the commentators doing a great job making it much easier to follow the game. Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to pretend I have no idea who made that comment. This Schragelhead individual. As I just explained to my colleague, we muted just for a second. I had to explain who that was. I will not out that individual, but thanks for watching. Much appreciated. Hopefully our commentary has been somewhat entertaining and informative. We go for that hybrid here.
So it looks like the University of Denver was looking to take that shot Penn State just threw out. It was just a bit wide.
A bit wide, yeah.
Just a bit wide.
Now you're starting to get a little dangerous because Denver's still sitting one, and this is not an easy takeout, but there's room. There's room to get that out. And if Penn State does it, not only do they control the front of the house, they sit 3 or 4, depending on what happens with this shooter here.
If they can get this shooter to stop in the house, that would be huge for Penn State.
Absolutely. And again,
they have the sweepers on this early.
The goal for Denver here is just don't give up a steal. Don't give up a steal. You do that, you're in a really good position.
They're really trying to coax it to curl here.
It's down weight enough, but it just was pretty wide, and I think it's actually going to bury it further. So
that's tough.
As people in the crowd here said, that's not what they wanted, and I think most of you who are watching understand that is not what they wanted. Emily's asking who is leading. Denver is leading right now 5-3 with Hammer in the sixth end, so they're in the driver's seat right now in terms of the game.
So while Denver contemplates this shot, we can check in on some of the other sheets score-wise here. So sheet 4, they blanked the fifth, so it is now 5-4. I believe Michigan Tech
still leads 5-4.
Yeah,
Yep, over
Michigan Tech still leads. Sheet 1 is concluded.
Wisconsin, I assume.
Yeah, the University of Wisconsin. They won that game, and then on sheet 2 here, the score is 4-3 Yale.
And we will definitely give you some more coverage of those games, especially if this game, our feature game, wraps up. We'll jump to another game, give commentary on that, and we'll also intermittently check in during stoppages of play as we've been doing. So here's first stone from Sylvia Barnes, the skip for Denver. She's now sitting 1. Her team's now sitting 1, and it's in a nicely buried spot. So definitely a lot less stress than maybe there was prior to the shot that was just thrown by Penn State.
Shot's looking a little dangerous. The
Yeah,
sweepers
you
are
don't want
sweeping it hard.
You don't want to promote them.
You don't want to bump Penn State in.
You also don't want those stones to line up like
perfectly for the
perfectly
double.
for running yellow into red. It doesn't look like they are. It looks like that's a little off. It would be tough to get yellow to run into red.
It's a very steep angle on that yellow to go yellow, red into yellow.
But yeah, Penn State's got to find a way to get to this yellow and get it out of play, or find a way to sit shot. This is their last shot. And remember what I said earlier. If they don't sit shot after this, Denver's guaranteed, assuming that Sylvia does not take out her own stone. I don't know why you would try that, but I've seen crazier things happen. But that guarantees that Denver at least gets their one, which again, scoring in the even end, the sixth end, as we're getting towards the end of the game, that's an excellent result. Guarantee that Penn State has hammer at most for one end of the last two. Well, or has hammer for both ends, but you get a steal most likely, and you're guaranteed to be at minimum up 3 going into the final end if Penn State has hammer or you have hammer, both of which are really good positions if you're Denver. So it looks like they're going to try to tap up the red rock as opposed to try a crazy run.
I believe that was the call.
And I think that makes sense. I think ultimately the run was low percentage. I didn't know if it was even there.
That rock's got a long way to curl.
I mean, now at this point, just draw. Just hopefully that you get around that red and just draw.
Definitely need it for weight. Sweepers are sweeping.
Oh, and it crashes. Oof. Oof. And that leaves Denver sitting one with the hammer coming up.
And an open takeout.
Open
possibly
takeout.
A roll for 2.
Definitely
a hit and stick.
I would say don't get cute with the roll, because if you get narrow and you touch that red, you don't want that red going in. And I don't think the angle's there, but you don't ever want that red. You don't want to give him a shot here. Honestly, if it was a little more than 2 points, I might even just throw this rock away. If I was up 3 right now and this was to take a 4-point lead, I might consider just throwing this rock away, taking no risk. But I think it's the shot's there.
The shot's absolutely there.
Yep. And I like it. It looks like they're actually coming with the inside-out turn, which I think is actually a very smart decision. I think that's going to make it so you don't need to have a sweeper hold the line and pray. I think it's going to be almost impossible to hit that red coming this direction with the inside-out turn. You're either going to hit your yellow or you're going to hit that red perfectly.
I agree. It looks like we're on that yellow.
It is on that yellow. It's definitely narrow for sure. Just do no damage. That's the goal here.
Well,
okay. It had enough weight where it did no damage.
No
harm, no foul. Scary for a moment, but Denver will happily take their one there and a 6-3 lead heading into the 7th.
All right, we will switch to sheet 4 here. This is Hammerstone.
So yes, Michigan Tech does lead this game right now.
They're just looks like a draw to the 4-foot. Seems to be a bit heavy. A little heavy.
Ooh. You definitely don't want to pick out your shot rock. And
Does
they did
not look like they picked themselves out.
They did not, so they get their one. So they keep their noses in front. They're up by 2 heading to the 7th end. So Michigan Tech over, that is University of Wisconsin Stevens Point.
Looks like we'll be back to the action here.
Anything on sheet 2 going on?
Just lead rocks.
Just lead rocks. That's right.
Just
lead rocks.
No, we definitely want to highlight our leads here. The lead rocks are just as valuable as the skip rocks some ends. So
arguably more important. They set up the tone for the end. They dictate how you're going to play.
Absolutely.
I mean, people on the stream even know, the first 2 ends, lead rocks were not guards. They were in the house, and it dictated a hit end. And then when stones started becoming guards, then it was more of a draw-heavy end. So the leads really set the tone for the pace of play and the tempo. All right, Denver up 3 here. Lead rocks coming from
This rock
Lee,
looks
Thomas
like it's
Barr.
going to be a little heavy. Might end up in the back of the house here.
Oh,
no.
This is going to be top 4.
This is going to be a
in the
nice
4
rock.
foot. A really nice rock. And interesting here. See
Penn
what they're-
State's playing a hit game. So they're looking to take that yellow out.
Yeah, note that Cameron here is calling for the hit down 3 in the 7th end. To an extent, that's exactly what Denver wants them to do, to some extent, right?
Yeah.
You know, basically, like, they don't want guards in play. They don't want a big end here from Denver. They are fine trading hits, and unfortunately, this hit ends up flashing for Penn State. So that's unfortunate for them, but
Just misses on the inside of the curl there.
that's right.
So it looks like Denver's going to try to split the house here,
Split
put
the
something on
house.
the opposite side of their shot rock.
Now, splitting the house, typically you see that for the hammer team, but this is the non-hammer team doing that. Why do you think they're doing that, Matt? And your ideas?
Oh, I think they don't want anything up front. They don't want any guards, and by splitting the house, it makes it so that Penn State doesn't have a shot at the double here. However, looks like Denver's gonna get a guard.
They will get a guard whether they like it or not. That's okay. I mean, that's for leads. That's a very standard rock right there. So sometimes it's just muscle memory. You throw what you're used to throwing. So that is a center guard, a good center guard. Obviously, not necessarily what Denver wants to accomplish here, because now Penn State can hit and roll under cover if they want to.
Yep, it looks like Penn State's taking a little bit more ice after that first rock, but it looks like they're still going for this hit.
Gotta get this line right. It's close. The
looks
line's
close.
pretty close.
It's gonna just peek out the other side.
Yep, it will stay in the house.
It's gonna hang around, but
And what do you want to do here if you're Denver?
I would just throw another rock in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You're not worried about hitting yet? Not
You're up 3. I don't.
too early to play prevent defense?
Yeah, I don't think you play prevent. You're only up 3. That can change pretty quick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate a draw top 8 underneath that top guard. However, it looks like there's going to be another guard up there. So it looks like Denver's going to have two center guards.
2 center guards. Good position for a steal, but obviously that's not necessarily what the goal is here for Denver. If you're Denver here, you just don't want to give up a big end. Stealing's great, don't get me wrong. If you can execute the steal, that's great, but you don't necessarily need to be hyper-aggressive. So we'll see what happens. Looks like Penn State wants to use those guards for their benefit, so they're going to try to draw behind those staggered yellow guards.
Yeah, and those yellow guards being staggered makes it difficult for Denver to run either of those rocks back if they needed to later on in the end. Looks like Penn State's going to make it around those guards and end up just top 4.
That's a really nice shot. Really,
Top button.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic
really
shot.
nice shot. If you're going to make this comeback here, Penn State, you need some shots like that. And what's Denver trying to do here? With that broom, it looks like it's more of a takeout, no?
Yeah, it looks like a heavy draw here.
Yeah, heavy draw bump.
Heavy draw bump.
Okay. You like that call?
I don't mind it, yeah.
Goal here, obviously, is just, get something in play, tap it a little bit. This stone,
Looks
unfortunately,
like
looks like it's heavy and wide.
No, it looks like it was burned.
Oh, okay. All right.
Definitely looks like it was
Unfortunate result
burned.
there for Denver. So now Penn State really does have a chance to put something in front of that shot rock there, sit 1, 2, 3, and really start to craft a big end if they're going to complete this comeback. Istvan Preda's second shot here. This is a
Looks to
pretty
be a-
nice looking rock right now. It's just got to
like
check.
a good rock.
It's probably going to just go right down to the other one, it looks like.
Does look like a small bump.
Really? I mean, now it's especially with where those are, that is very tough
That's
to double
very
those.
tough to get to the center of those two rocks.
I wonder, and this is a tough spot, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if you want to just try peeling your own guards at this point. I think the miss here is definitely, if you miss narrow and you peel your guards, that's okay. They are trying for that hit, Denver, and it looks like this is going to just sail wide once again.
Yeah, as you said, though, I think you're right. If you're a little narrow there and you peel your guards,
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's not
it
an
does at
awful-
least something
it's
for you
not an
here.
awful miss.
Right now,
That-
your
that
own
helps you
guards
out
are
a little.
hurting you. So this gets back to what we said at the beginning of this end, where Denver really didn't necessarily want these guards in play, because now it's actually coming back to bite them. Those guards are blocking Penn State's 2 stones that are up there.
And it looks like Penn State's trying to just add something to that pile up front.
Absolutely. Draws on the way here. This one coming from Cameron Pauley.
This looks pretty good.
It does look good. Sweepers are managing this well. They're definitely getting into a rhythm now. They've played the same line. They know the weight. They know the line.
And it's going to be right down to that pile.
It really is.
That's
3
a
in a
great
row.
shot.
And it's just getting harder and harder for Denver.
It looks like
And the
Denver's
thing is,
still going with this hit.
They are still going with the hit. The thing is here, like, you're not going to keep. It's going to be hard to keep that shooter around to move mass here. So honestly, it might even be
A little too
more
wide
beneficial
again.
to peel. Yep. And again, flashed hits aren't helpful when. Well, flash hits aren't ever helpful, but unfortunately in this situation, if that was narrow and it peels the guard, then it does something productive. But unfortunately, Denver's had a few misses wide, and really going to be tough for Sylvia when it gets to her skip rocks to try to minimize damage here. You got, at this point, the goal is get Hammer back in the final end tied, ideally with a lead, but if you can just get the Hammer back tied, fine.
It looks like Penn State's just trying to guard those 3 that are in a row there.
Stone here from Cameron.
It's not quite going to have enough weight to make it to the house.
Is it going to bite? Not quite.
Not quite.
That's really good result, though, for Penn State.
And it looks like Denver's about to take their timeout here.
I think this is a good time, a reasonable time to take a timeout. Take a breath, think about what you want to accomplish here.
Yep. So they have about 1 minute and 45 seconds. So they got 45 seconds for their coach to walk down to the other end. However, he is hustling.
Give him a little extra time,
Give him a little extra time, and then the timeout is the length of a minute to discuss their next shots. And
so what are some options you like here, Matt?
I think they're still going to go for the hit here. It's going to be difficult. They do have an option on the right side of the sheet to try to draw to cut them down. You could definitely corner freeze on that shot rock that's on the button.
Any of those red rocks, really, yeah.
To try to eliminate how many red can take this end, but it looks like they were immediately discussing that takeout that they had just attempted a few shots.
I like what you're saying with that draw, Matt. I think that I like the idea of, at this point, I mean, you have to throw a perfect hit. And even then, you're still only probably getting one of those reds out of play. I think, and I don't know if that's necessarily Sylvia's strength. I've seen her throw some good draws today. Her hits have been good too, don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't be surprised if you just want to throw a draw. And basically, if you get around those guards, those staggered high guards that you have there, Penn State's not really going to want to chase after that. And basically what you end up doing is you can cut them down to 1 or 2, even 3, make sure that one over on the wing never ends up counting. And basically guarantee that you have Hammer final end tied or leading, if you make that draw. And that looks like what they're doing right now. Now, I don't know if that's enough broom. That looks like really tight broom, but
It does look like a very tight broom.
we'll see. We'll see. Could be that her rocks run straighter. I've seen plenty of times where individuals with more handle on their rocks run straighter. I know you had mentioned that earlier towards the beginning of the game, Matt. So maybe this is the right broom for her. It's not one size fits all. We're up to 47 watchers now. How are people in the audience doing? I don't know what teams you're rooting for. I don't know if people are starting to get nervous down the stretch, getting excited.
Sweepers are on this hard. It looks like, however, it's going to be into those guards up front.
It does indeed.
However, maybe it will shake that up.
No, just
Not quite how they wanted to shake it
trifecta
up.
of guards. All right, so only one stone left for Denver to really minimize damage here.
Now, if you're Penn State, what are you looking to do here, Brad?
If you're Penn State here, I like knowing that they're going to try that draw on the right side. I like trying to put something top 12, top 8 on that right side over there, and it looks exactly like what they're doing. You don't need to draw in. You can leave this high and basically leave it so Denver has really no options. You definitely don't want it deep and wide, because if it's deep and wide, you give them a hit and roll.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think top 12 here, you know, you can get a little greedy and get that fifth counter in there, but
Yeah.
I agree top 12 is probably where they're looking to put this rock.
Now it is wide ice, which a lot of times means that it has to travel more distance, and it's going to be a little bit frosty, so sweeper's going to have to be on it if they think it's light, and it looks like the sweepers are on it very, very early.
Yeah, it looks like they're on this one hard. Seems to be just inside on those yellow
So
guards, so it's not really going to cut down that draw path, but it seems like
they're going to try
it seems like the University of Denver is going to try to cut them down again.
Definitely got to work hard to get that around those guards. It's there, though, for sure. We have seen these stones die and cut, so hopefully for Sylvia's sake, she's adapted, she's adjusted. This one definitely looks like it has more weight out of her hand.
Yeah, this one looks a little bit heavier.
Sweepers are waiting.
The line looks a little tight. Sweepers are on it. The sweepers are on it again.
Is it heavy? That's the
it
question.
heavy?
The line is actually really good.
The lines looking
man.
really good.
Oh, this looks really good.
That's a heck of a shot.
That is a fantastic shot from
That's
Sylvia.
a heck of a shot.
Sylvia Barnes with an excellent shot. I can't tell. I think red is still 2. I think the rub of the red made it so that there's still 2 instead of just 1. Obviously, if that's just for 1, that's as perfect as you could do. But even cutting that to 2, that's still a really good result for Denver. That's a clutch shot right there from Sylvia.
I'm no mathematician, but 2 is less than 4.
You, sir, are correct. We got to go Penn State with question marks and exclamation points. We have a groan here in the warm room on sheet 4, as it looks like there's a potential big end brewing here for University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
It looks like Stevens Point's sitting 3 over there.
Take a look after this shot ends up, where it ends up.
Penn State's really sweeping hard to try to get a piece of the 4-foot here.
Yeah, they got to get full 4, and they're not going to get there. So it looks like it's 2 from the overhead angle. We'll see what they end up agreeing. It's definitely 1. No, they're kicking stones. I think they conceded 2, and Denver will have the lead with hammer going to the final end.
We will switch over here to sheet 4. Stevens Point's got hammer here. They're currently sitting 3 in the house.
Sitting 3, down 2. So if they can find a way, I don't know how it's gonna be. Oh, actually, no, it's there. There's a path.
There's a path.
I didn't even see. From my angle, it looked a lot more closed than when I looked at this camera angle. But yeah, they have a path there. Definitely to get their 4. and it was 2 over on sheet 3. So Denver leads 6-5 with the hammer in the final end, which is eerily similar to the first game I called this morning between a Colorado team and a Pennsylvania team, which I believe was also 6-5, team up 1 with hammer.
And on sheet 2, it looks like Castleton scored 2 in the 7th to tie up their game with Yale.
And it looks like they just hung around in the back here for 4. So University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point goes up 2. Michigan Tech will have the hammer coming home in the final end. So we got some great finishes here. Sheet
Getting
1,
back
as
to
we
our
already said,
feature
is already
sheet.
done.
Looks like Penn State's calling for the center guard here. They need 1. Looks like that was just 2 for them in the 7th there. So they're down 1, so they're looking to play for the steal.
Matt, how does your strategy change if it's final end and you're down 1 without hammer, like Penn State is right now? What's your philosophy as a skip?
Being down 1?
Being down 1 without hammer. So if you're Penn State's skip right now, what's your mentality?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking to put up a guard, which they did. They got a nice long guard there, and then with my second rock, I'd be hoping to draw in there, get something counting up top. Even if you throw up another guard, that's not horrible. You're controlling the center of the house, but you do need to be shot at some point. So, getting in there sooner rather than later is not a bad philosophy either.
Yeah, it looks like they're calling a second guard here from Cameron Pauly, and that's, again, I think that's a good setup. I think ultimately take advantage of your free guard zone that you have. Try to get as many rocks up there as possible. I mean, realistically, before Denver could actually take out any rocks, you could throw 3 guards if you wanted to. And on your third guard, they can start taking it out. But then you have your house built, or your guards built for your house, and then you start you draw in. At the Olympic level, you'll see some teams just throw guard after guard after guard after guard and save it for their skip rocks to come in. But definitely, I think getting one in there and then guarding afterwards is definitely something to put pressure on for the college nationals level.
Yeah, and it looks like Penn State's got a staggered guard set up there, so
see a comment here. There should be a state in there somewhere. I hope I didn't say Penn, or I hope I didn't say Colorado. It's Colorado State from the morning game, and it is Penn State in this game. We did have UPenn earlier.
Yeah.
And those Bison of Colorado are not here at Nationals, not representative. We do have Denver, and we do have Colorado State.
Yep, and it looks like the University of Denver put one right on the pin there.
Yep. You like that move?
That's a fantastic shot. There's 2 philosophies here. If you're Denver, right, you either keep the house completely clean, or you beat them to the button. And looks like Denver's going with the latter and has beat them to the button.
Yeah, they beat them to the button.
So
we'll see how they counter here, Penn State. But you may see actually Denver starting to work with Penn State on putting up guards and just saying, you know what, we're going to build our wall here, and it's going to be tough for you to even get in there and get your 1.
And just a time check here. Penn State has 7 minutes and 15 seconds left on their clock.
Oh, tons of time.
And the University of Denver has 7 minutes and change.
Okay, yeah.
15 seconds.
Both teams over 7 minutes. Yeah, that's
their clock's winding as well,
Yeah.
so that's huge.
They basically have a timeout.
Yes, yeah.
They don't have to even call a timeout. They have tons of time, so they're doing really well on clock here.
For the viewers at home, for them to be on par, or within their bounds of time, they should be roughly around 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
For an end, yeah.
For this final
right,
end.
And they're like basically double that.
Yeah, they have double that. So, like you mentioned, they pretty much have a timeout in their back pocket. They've got plenty of time to discuss. I will say, compared to the games this morning, both Penn State and the University of Denver have not taken too much time to discuss shots.
No, they've been really quick.
They've been pretty quick.
Even with the
deciding.
holding play due to the ice issue, they've been moving really
That was
well.
off the clock.
I know it was off the clock, but even like overall for the game, like we're on par with everything else, and they had like
Yeah.
a good 4 or 5 minutes pause that they had there. So, no, they've been moving well. Denver with a really nice draw, top 12. So you can see they've chosen their strategy. They're just gonna beat Penn State at the game that they want to play, and basically say, you know what, good luck Penn State getting your one here, just a tie. You know?
Now, we just saw Penn State switch which side they were trying to draw. And now they're switching it back. I wouldn't mind coming the way they had switched.
I
'cause
agree.
You could always tap your own.
I think that's the right call. Even I would even be open to just tapping the red being your plan A.
However, they could be saving that for a later rock.
They certainly could be. Absolutely.
This one looks like it's a little tight. Sweeping to keep it straight. Now both sweepers are on it.
Is it on that
They
yellow?
made it around the guards. However, I do believe it's on that yellow. So that's going to tap it up right to the top 4 there.
Right.
Now, if you're Penn State, you don't love to see that, but
No, definitely not. If you're Denver here, really the only danger rock right now is that red on the open side. The guards are working in your favor.
on the
I would be inclined to just throw up a high guard, and that
looks like what they're about to do.
Is that what she's doing? Yep, that's where she wants it. Yeah, throw a
She
high
wants
guard
a high
up.
guard at 2.
Make it as much of a headache as possible for Penn State.
1-2
make
guard is where I think we're gonna.
And the way those yellows are staggered right now, even that red rock, it's going to be tough for that red rock to like sit shot right now. Denver is really in a great position.
However, this rock looks a little heavy.
It does look heavy.
It's got a curl too. It's really hanging out there.
Well, if it's gonna curl at the end, get it around that guard or get it around that red, right?
Yeah, it really came down there.
It did come down. Okay.
However, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
It does take away.
It takes the angle away
potential of
that they want
run.
to hit it. Exactly. Yeah. So while it doesn't cover that red for those viewers at home, the only way they can really hit that red is nose or inside a nose, which isn't the angle that they want to hit that red on. They would have to actually hit it more on the outside of the red to actually run it back into those yellows in the center. So while that guard was a little wider than maybe they wanted, definitely not a bad position. Penn State's got a headache here.
Penn State is really talking this one over.
What do you do if you're Penn State here?
And Penn State just
they're gonna
called their
call
timeout.
That's
so
right. So
I
we
think
have time to
they're
talk
about
about
to
it.
discuss what they're about to call.
Absolutely. Do you want to check in on any of the other sheets?
Yeah, we can check in. Let's go to sheet 2. We've been checking in on 4 a lot. So
Sounds good. Sheet 2, there is a tie game right now between Yale with the Red Rocks and Castleton with the Yellow Rocks. Castleton needing a final end steal to win, and they are set up pretty nicely for that final end steal, I must say, with 4 rocks to go. This being one of the 4.
as long as this doesn't move that guard too much.
Oh, yeah, you don't want
it does
that.
open it up a little.
Well, it's hard to tell right now. I think
there's a port there. It's very tight.
Yeah, you at least got to go for it, and then you open it up at the very least if you're Yale.
And Yale just calls their timeout. So
everybody's calling timeout.
We will be
Big
headed to
situation.
sheet 4.
That's right. This is University of Wisconsin Stevens Point in red versus Michigan Tech in yellow. Stevens Point in red now has the lead by 2 after they're 4 under, and now they're taking stones out of play.
The warm room really liked that shot.
Warm room likes that shot. They're sitting 4 right now. Michigan Tech needs to find a way to craft some offense, and they're running out of rocks to do so.
Yeah.
Got to get there too.
It looks to me like Michigan Tech's going to try to draw into that pocket there between those 2 reds on the 4-foot.
Yeah, it does look like that. And I like that. I like that.
I like that too.
I like that shot because hitting doesn't do you any good here. Hitting just makes the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point's more than happy to just keep trading hits.
Now you don't see this much, but the skip has left the house and has joined the sweepers.
She's feeling it.
Now, in your career, Brad, have you ever let the
I
helps
knew you would ask me
help,
that.
to help your sweeper sweep?
I knew you would ask me that. I do that perhaps more often than I ought to. I like to say it's because I think my sweepers need a break and they're tired. Realistically, it's because I'm probably too much of a control freak and I just want to get my hands on everything, much to the chagrin of my my teammates here. So, unfortunately, that shot ended up light on sheet 4. Go ahead.
It looks like sheet 3 has wrapped up their timeout here, so Penn State looks like they're going to try the yellow into red run back, possibly just trying to open things up and maybe get a draw path.
That's right.
In there.
I mean, at the end of the day, ultimately, you don't like not having hammer, but you only need to get one here to keep the game alive. So if you can open this up and just give your skip a prayer at the end, then you're doing the right thing. The commentary is really nice. We'll really appreciate that. Thank you very much for all the positive feedback here.
All right, this rocks away for Penn State. They're really sweeping it hard for line. Really trying to keep that red on the outside of that yellow to drive it in. Just got it just off nose.
Well, same
I don't
shot.
know if that helps them that much there. That wasn't really what they were looking for.
They will still have that same shot unless Denver guards it here. So we'll see what Sylvia chooses to do.
Looks like Sylvia's debating on what they would like here. Like we alluded to earlier, they got plenty of time. Essentially have a free timeout in their back pocket.
Exactly.
They've got about 5 minutes to throw these last 3 rocks, pardon me.
That's right.
But it looks like they're settling on a guard somewhere over there.
It does look that way. Do we want to quickly go over to sheet 2 just to watch? I think it's the conclusion of that game. Just want to see if they end up. They called their timeout, if you remember, and they're going to try to split that port. So
correct.
We'll
Not quite the conclusion. They still got a few rocks left.
That's right. Here on sheet 3, they are calling the guard, by the way.
So we'll switch back to sheet 3.
We'll see where this guard ends up landing.
It's really wide.
It is wide.
Being wide's not awful. You
take away the angle here.
Yeah, you really want to take away the angle on that run back. That red into yellow.
It's there.
It cuts it down a little, but I still think that red run back is there.
It is there. Just quickly showing you on sheet 2 what it looks like. If you're Yale again, red rocks. You do have a path. But I imagine right now if you're Castleton, you just throw that guard anywhere on that line where that broom is placed.
Yale did wreck one of those top guards with their last rock. And it looks like we just concluded on sheet 4 as well.
Handshakes here.
Handshakes on 4. So
University of Wisconsin Stevens Point defeats Michigan Tech. That is some Pool D action. So in Pool D,
it looks like Penn State's coming inside out.
I think that's
on that red to try to run it back.
Yeah.
Try to get.
That part confused. I can understand inside out if they were going for that higher red.
But they're going for the closer red.
Yeah, that is tight.
Seems like
it does seem like that. It is going to be tight to do
now,
that.
If they skinny that red guard, there is a chance they could skinny the top yellow on the top 4.
Yes.
To sit 1. However, that's a very tricky shot.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Stone on the way from Cameron Pauley.
I believe that's Cameron's last.
It is, yep.
Sweeping for line.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's as perfect a shot as you could have thrown there if you're Cameron.
That's a fantastic
that
shot.
That did skinny that guard, and it did actually get across nose. I didn't know how much room there was, and I stand corrected. That's an excellent shot there.
That's a fantastic shot by Penn State.
And so now Denver needs the guard, whereas before it was like, they're sitting 1 and 2. It's going to be hard to double them out. Now you don't need a double if you're Penn State.
No.
You don't need a double, and it's exposed.
However, Denver still does have last rock.
They do have last rock. They do have last rock. 3 rocks left for Denver, 2 rocks left for Penn State. And stone on the way. It's definitely guard weight. Is it going to over curl is the question.
It looks like it's really curling. They got to get it over.
They did get it over.
They got it over.
Well, it does
No
block
bounce.
it blocks the big takeout weight. There definitely is hack weight or something like that is definitely there. So
Yeah.
a down weight hit, it's definitely there for Penn State.
I agree, Brad. I really feel like the takeout's still there. You're not going to be able to throw, up weight normal at it, but in this situation, I don't think you really want to throw a real heavy takeout. Penn State really wants their rock to hang around. If they can get 2 here,
They win the game.
they win the game.
That's
so,
right. That's right. I mean, this is honestly remarkable. Penn State, since their timeout, they had 1 miss, but they have really given themselves a chance when I truly didn't think that they had a chance. Honestly, we'll see how this shot comes from Eric Welp. They got 2 stones left.
Eric's got about 2 minutes to throw both of these rocks, so they still got plenty of time to
they should be
discuss
fine, yep.
final shots.
Stone on the way.
Sweepers are sweeping it.
Sweeper
Sweeping
sweeping
it hard for line. Really hard for line. It's really close to that
It's
guard.
really close. Can it get around? Oh, it crashes, and that's actually really unfortunate because that bounces the yellow more in the line, so it's actually created a tougher shot for their
Does make
their
that
final.
shot a lot tougher.
A lot tougher. It's still there,
that
because
guard-
especially with the way it curls. But now Denver has another chance to throw a guard.
Yeah, that guard is definitely up top.
And over on sheet 2, they've concluded there. Yale, unfortunately, was not able to get in there for them, so Castleton ends with a steal of 1 and wins that game. That is in the same pool as Michigan Tech and University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. So Wisconsin-Stevens Point and Castleton are co-leaders in that pool now. And this game is for who will be co-leaders along with the defending national champions, Wisconsin of Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison. All right. Sylvia's discussing, and interestingly enough,
Interesting call here.
they're going to come the other side. I know it's a tough shot, but Eric barely missed it. If I were Denver, I think I'd still throw up that guard on that same side. Would you?
Well, we've seen Sylvia throw some really tremendous draws this game, and it wouldn't really hurt the University of Denver if she throws another one in there.
That's true. If she sits a second,
inside the 4-foot, that makes it very difficult for Penn State to come back.
But it's going to be the same shot for Eric regardless, right? To try to get to that yellow and sit 1 right on top of the button. But I agree with the way that stone is. It's not. Yeah, no, it's a good call, Matt. I think I would just be more inclined to throw the guard here, but it looks like they're actually guarding. It's a guard on this side. Okay. All right. So now it comes down to a final shot for Eric. If he can make it, then Sylvia will have 1 shot to counter. We've had handshakes on all other 3 sheets, so this is the final game here. Crowd is watching. They are going to try the same path that they had before. All they really have to do is get around that high yellow guard you see there, just on the biting the center line. If they get around that guard, then they want to push it as far as they can to curl more and get as close to nose as possible on that yellow and just bump it back. Even if it only bumps back a foot or 2, that's fine. Obviously, you'd like to sit 2. If you can bump it all the way out of play, then you have a chance to win the game if Sylvia can't make her last shot.
Yep. And Eric has about a minute to throw this shot.
Yep,
So
plenty of time.
they've got
He's
plenty
there.
of time. However, they have used a lot of their time up. I know
They did. This 8th
at
end
the
is
start
definitely
of-
slowed down a lot.
At the start of this end, we had
It's almost
discussed
like-
they had a lot of time, but
Well, it's almost like this. That's what you do it for.
Penn State's last rock is away.
It looks like it's a little wide right now. They're going to try to push it at this juncture.
They're trying to bring it back.
Can they get it there? Can they get it there?
Can they get it
Cameron?
past those guards?
Oh, it's close, but it's going to tick.
Oh.
And unfortunately for Penn State, they come up a bit short. And
I
that's a
think
victory for the
ladies and
university.
gentlemen, are going to be handshakes here on 3.
That's a win for the University of Denver. A great game on our feature sheet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Absolutely. Great game all around. This was yet another classic on our feature sheet, and hopefully we'll have another one at 4 o'clock. I'll be joined on that one on the call by Pat Howard, who is on the commentary here. But for that, this is Brad Johnson.
And Matt Green.
And we will be signing off. Thank you, everyone, for